Angelic Paramour, Assassin in Training. Written by Ben-Tzion Spitz. Narrated by Jennifer Kahen.
I always start with a leaf, Mitael said as he floated above a white mare hitched to a wagon. It's become my trademark. Other angels have joined me to watch as I mete out a death sentence. But you're the first apprentice I've had since the ascension of Eli the priest.
I'm honored, Lomel replied, floating nearby beside a large oak. The morning sun shone brightly through him on the reds, yellows, and greens of the majestic tree. I heard the workload increased and the heavenly tribunal ordered additional assassins.
Here we go,
Mitael pointed below. A squat blacksmith walked across the dirt courtyard of the large stone house. The house was the largest on the outskirts of Shiloh. The blacksmith carried 3 heavy mallets of different sizes.
Watch the master at work, Lomel. Each act we do has to be simple, delicate, and undetectable.
Mitael gestured to a yellow leaf on the oak tree. The leaf descended to the ground, zigzagging gently. Mitael orchestrated the movement of the leaf with his hands. The leaf touched ground exactly under the right foot of the blacksmith as he was stepping down. The blacksmith slipped, sending his 3 mallets flying. Mitael conducted the heaviest mallet towards the wheel of the parked wagon. The blacksmith fell on his rump. The lightest mallet bounced on his head. The heavy mallet slammed into the wheel of the wagon, knocking out 2 of the 4 bolts holding the wheel in place. The mare neighed. The blacksmith rubbed his head, looked at the offensive leaf, picked up his mallets, and continued to the workshed on the other side of the courtyard.
You always require proper preparation, Mitael explained. That is the key to success. It is much harder to improvise all the elements. You must study your subjects, know their surroundings, and disturb as little as possible. Our success is measured by leaving doubt. Humans have to fear, but there must always remain the element of doubt.
Lomel nodded repeatedly as Mitael lectured.
Now we get to see our subjects in their final act, Mitael said.
A tall, beautiful woman with lustrous, short black hair walked out of the house. A small red silky cloth wrapped her hair, revealing more than it concealed. A light purple dress clung closely to the curves of her body. She walked purposely to the wagon, mounted the open wooden carriage, and took hold of the long reins. "I'll meet you in Shiloh," she called to the house, snapped the loose reins, and quickly trotted away.
"Marilyn!"
a deep voice called from the house.
"Wait! Let us ride together!"
Marilyn was already out of earshot.
"You see, Lomel?"
Mitael pointed at the departing Marilyn.
"She has no patience for her husband. Why is she in such a hurry?"
A brawny man on a brown stallion waited on the right side of the road. As Marilyn approached, he smiled and matched speeds with her wagon.
"That is the adulterer,"
Mitael pointed.
"See how close to her he rides? See how he keeps looking at her body. See how she keeps smiling at him, welcoming his attentions."
The husband, a thin man with soft curls, left his house on a grey mare. He spotted Marilyn in the distance and galloped to catch up. Marilyn and the adulterer approached the gates of Shiloh.
"Let me demonstrate her immodesty."
Mitael turned his wrist toward her. A sudden gust of wind blew her skirt up. The adulteress stared at her long legs with a wolfish grin. Marilyn smiled back and slowly pushed her dress down. The right wheel of the wagon wobbled. The long reins swayed.
"Soon we will need to improvise," Mitael said. "The punishment for adultery is strangulation. However, no earthly court will find them guilty. The husband suspects something, and rumours have started to flow, but not enough to dissuade Marilyn or the adulterer."
"So you will cause them to choke?" Lomel asked, rubbing his hands together.
"It will be close enough. Burning and stoning are much easier punishments to cause. Decapitation is the hardest. Decapitation is the biggest challenge.
Marilyn and her paramour entered the city gates. The hooves of their horses clanked loudly on the worn cobblestones. Merchants, artisans, and farmers walked across the large plaza, buying, selling, and carrying their wares. The husband trotted rapidly through the gates, just a few paces behind Marilyn and the adulterer. The husband called out, "Marilyn, wait for me!" "Now's our chance." Mitael pointed. An old brick-mason was crossing the plaza ahead of Marilyn. He carried 6 heavy clay bricks and walked gingerly, favoring his left side. Mitael snapped his fingers and a gust blew. The small red cloth unraveled from Marilyn's hair and flew away in the breeze. "My head covering!" Marilyn exclaimed as she reached out, uselessly clawing at the empty air. A young scribe walked from the opposite direction, looked at the red cloth and at Marilyn. He did not notice the brick-mason approaching. The scribe bumped shoulders with the brick-mason. The brick-mason was captivated by Marilyn's plight, and he didn't discern the brick sliding from his pile. He kept walking, and only a few steps later realized his load was lighter. Marilyn and the adulterer kept trotting forward. The wheel of Marilyn's wagon hit the brick. The wheel slid off the axle of the wagon. The wagon collapsed to the right, sending Marilyn, still holding the reins, flying in the air, while her white horse crashed into the adulterers. Mitael pointed at the confusion of the horses. The reins enwrapped Marilyn's neck. Marilyn knocked into the adulterer. He caught her while still riding and tried to untangle her, but he too became entangled. The end of the rein got caught in the bit of the adulterer's horse. The pair fell off the brown horse and held on to each other. They dangled by their necks, knees dragging on the cobblestones between their galloping horses. A mass of brown, white, and purple careened through the plaza. They left a thin trail of red from their bleeding knees. The horses, panicking, tried to separate from each other, pulling tighter on the reins around the couple's necks. Screams and shrieks filled the stone plaza. Marilyn and the adulterer writhed and convulsed as they tried to claw the suffocating reins off their necks. Finally, when the struggling of the couple stopped, the adulterer's horse released its hold upon the reins. Marilyn's horse stopped, free of the pull of the adulterer's horse, though still weighed down by the couple on his reins. The pair fell, lying on the floor and wrapped in one another's arms. The husband jumped off his gray mare and ran to lean over Marilyn. A crowd surrounded the trio on the worn cobblestones. "Marilyn! What happened?" The husband cried as dark red contrasted with Marilyn's purple dress. "You... You were not worthy of me." "What?" the husband asked with a wild look in his eyes. "But I love you. I always have." "I know. But I don't love you. And now I die with my lover." Marilyn smiled and then coughed more blood. The smile vanished, replaced by a grimace, and that was how she died. "Incredible," Beaumelle exclaimed. "How did they fall together and confess?" "I only planned the strangulation," Mitael coughed. "They're dying in each other's arms, and the confession were unexpected." "I don't understand. How could that happen?" Beaumelle asked. "Occasionally God takes a direct interest." "I thought that was our job." "It is. But sometimes God adds his own details." "But why?" "I don't know. It's a great mystery. I think he just likes a good story." This has been Angelic Paramour, Assassin in Training, written by Ben-Tzion Spitz, narrated by Jennifer Kahen.